everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Kathy Antoine. I am a mechanical engineer, and I am very honored to be your MC for this webinar. Welcome to this webinar organized by the Universal Peace Federation. We give a very special welcome to our panelists. I want also to welcome all the viewers who are joining us online. Thank you for showing your interest in this forum, observing the UN International Day of Peace under the theme Becoming Peacemakers. On its website, the United Nations has this to say for the International Day of Peace. In a time of turbulence, tumult, and uncertainty, it is critical for everyone to take concrete action to mobilize for peace. From peacekeepers on the front lines of conflict, to community members, to students in classrooms around the world, everyone has a role to play. We must speak up against violence, hate, discrimination, and inequality, practice respect, and embrace the diversity of our world. Peace is not passive. It lives in our choices, our communities, and our care for one another and the earth. The UNESCO Constitution starts with this sentence: "Since wars begin in the minds of men, so it is in the minds of men that the defenses of peace must be constructed." We are all aware that creating a culture of peace requires concerted efforts from individuals, communities, and institutions. It involves both cultivating personal attitudes of peace and advocating for systemic changes that support these values. Now, let me tell you a bit about the Universal Peace Federation, UPF for short, who organized this forum. The Universal Peace Federation is a global network of individuals and organizations dedicated to building a world of peace centered on universal spiritual and moral values. It promotes interfaith cooperation and mutual understanding based on the principles of interdependence, mutual prosperity, and universally shared values. Every year, the UPF organizes a World Summit for Peace, where for 3 days, high-level political leaders, religious leaders, and civil society leaders can meet, interact, and encourage each other to implement peace projects in their respective countries. You can learn more about it at the website upf.org. Now, I would like to introduce you to Remy Topier, who will give the welcome remarks. Remy Topier is the director of the Universal Peace Federation in St. Lucia. He is originally from France, but has been living with his family in St. Lucia for 27 years. He has 3 children and 4 grandchildren. One of his main efforts is to strengthen families as an essential way to break the cycle of poverty and reduce violent and criminal behavior. He has conducted numerous workshops for conflict resolution and character education in schools and youth groups. Let us welcome Remy Topier.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here. Welcome to everyone, especially those who are online viewing, and also especially our panelists. Really, I want to sincerely thank you for being here this evening. We are really blessed to have such a great panel of outstanding young people full of talent and passion and with a bright future ahead of them. So, despite their busy lives, they have taken the time to reflect on the theme, Becoming Peacemakers. And tonight, It is both an honor and a joy for us to listen as they share their heartfelt thoughts, experience, and insight. Please let's give them a warm round of applause. Thank you for being here this evening. So the Creator, God, has given each one of us a free will. And this is what makes us really special among all the creation. Only human beings have this special trait of free will. But of course, as we all know, we have to learn to use that free will well. That means especially we have to use it to care for others and for the good of the community and for the good of the nation. So we have the responsibility to become good stewards of this world by exercising our free will. And I would like to read a quote from Dr. Agja Han. She is the founder, the co-founder with her husband of the Universal Peace Federation. She is now 82 years old and spent all her life to build peace in the world. In fact, many people even call her Mother of Peace. So let me read. She says, each one of us has a divine responsibility to be peacemakers and builders of a better world. Each one of us has a divine responsibility to be peacemakers and builder of a better world. And that has been really a motto also of the Universal Peace Federation, is that we have a responsibility to cooperate with our Creator and also with each other to make this world a better place. It can never come to fruition without really cooperation. And so the Universal Peace Federation has been really focusing on that, trying to bring people of religious leaders to cooperate together beyond the differences of faith and religion. Also bringing people on of the various side of the political life also to work together and bring people of the political world, religious world, civil society to cooperate together. This is through this we can make this world really a better place. So I think we are going to hear many great things this evening. I look forward to hear, and thank you very much once again to be part of this. And I was told to be short, so I want to stop here and please welcome to every panelist. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Remy, for that warm welcome. Now I would like to introduce you to our next panelist, Mrs. Charisse Jean-Louis. She has been a teacher for the past 11 years. She is married to Jesse Jean-Louis, and together they are blessed with a 3-year-old son, Chase. She is passionate about becoming the best version of herself, personally, professionally, and spiritually, and aspires to one day become an author. Her dream for St. Lucia is for young people to develop a deeper appreciation for life and be empowered to make better choices. Charisse and her husband have also founded the Holiday Hope Foundation, which gives back each Christmas to the neonatal unit and to families in need, spreading hope and love throughout the community. A warm welcome for Charisse Jean-Louis.
Good evening. Thank you, Coffee, for your warm remarks. First of all, I'd like to thank the director of the Universal Federation, Dr. Topier, for inviting me to speak tonight. I am truly honored to be here. Thank you.
Welcome.
As a teacher, when I hear the word peace, the first thing that comes to my mind is often something that I teach my students, which is homophones. And homophones are words that sound the same, but they have different spellings and different meanings. For example, peace and peace. But tonight, we're not talking about a piece of cake or a piece of cloth. We are focusing on PEACE. And if we take each letter of that word, it shows us the essence of what peace truly is. P is for powerful. Peace is not weakness, it is strength under control. E is for enduring. True peace is lasting, it does not vanish with the first sign of conflict. A is for active. Peace does not just happen, it is made through effort, choice, and sometimes sacrifice. C is for compassion. Peace cares about people, it is rooted in love and empathy. And E is for essential. Without peace, ourselves, our families, our communities, and our nation cannot thrive. So peace is not passive, as Kathy mentioned earlier. It is powerful, it is enduring, it is active, it is compassionate, and it is very much essential. The Bible tells us in Matthew chapter 5, verse 9, Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Now, as a teacher, we always do word study to build up our students' vocabulary in the classroom. So if we look at the word peacemaker, it is actually a noun. And most of us should know that a noun is a naming word. And here it names a person, someone who makes peace. But notice the way that the word is built. At the end of the word, there is a suffix, er. And a suffix is a word ending that adds another meaning to it. And the suffix actually, er, means a person who. So if we put this together, a teacher like myself is someone who teaches, a builder is a person who builds, and a peacemaker is someone who makes peace. So do you see what that means? The word in itself shows us that peace isn't just an idea. It is something to be made, something to be believed. A peacemaker is not just a description, it is a calling from God. Let me begin by first saying this. Peace starts within us. If we are not at peace with ourselves, it'll be very difficult to extend peace to others. When we learn to face the things that bother us, when we allow ourselves to heal, when we learn to forgive ourselves, that inner calm spills over into the way we live and love. Becoming a peacemaker begins with the work we do first inside our own hearts. As a teacher, I see every day how much we need peacemakers, especially in the classrooms. Conflicts can flare up so quickly over pencils, over chairs, over lunch, sometimes over hurtful words. But I also see how quickly peace can return one child who chooses to say, Hey, I'm sorry. And another chooses to say, You know what? It's okay. I forgive you. Those small moments remind me that peace begins in the simplest and acts of kindness. At home, as a wife, as a mother, as a twin, I've also learned, that peace is tested in very real ways. After a long day of work, when you're tired and frustrated, it is so easy to snap at your loved ones or lose patience with them. But peace means pausing, taking a deep breath, and choosing patience instead of frustration. It means forgiving your spouse even when your feelings have been hurt. It means loving your family even when it feels difficult. And let me add to this. Sometimes peace at home is not just about what I do, but what I allow God to do. There are moments when prayer has become my anchor. When my frustrations, my worries, my hurt feelings, I take them to God. And it is His peace that calms me. It's His peace that leads me back to a place of love. And His peace that gives me the strength to keep showing grace to my family. But peacemaking isn't only about what we do, it's also about what God does within us. One of my favorite Bible stories is recorded in the Gospels, and it was when Jesus was in the boat with his disciples during the storm, and the winds roared, and the waves crashed, and fear filled the disciples' hearts. And yet, Jesus stood and said, "Peace, be still." And instantly the storm obeyed. That moment teaches me that even when life feels overwhelming, when the storms of stress, the storms of uncertainty and fear surrounds us, there is still a God who knows everything, who grants us peace. Sometimes becoming a peacemaker means first allowing his peace to calm our hearts so that we can bring peace to others. And yes, as humans, we disagree, and that's just a part of life. But one of my friends always reminds me of something very important. Just because we disagree, that doesn't mean there is no love. We need to come to a place where we understand that differences in opinion does not, erase love. They invite us to practice it more deeply. And so, what does this mean for us here in St. Lucia? Imagine with me a nation where our young people are not quick to anger, but quick to forgive, where they choose dialogue over violence and compassion over bitterness. Imagine families where conflicts don't divide, but instead become an opportunity to grow closer, where parents model patience, spouses model forgiveness, and children learn compassion by watching love in action. Imagine communities where neighbors look out for one another and where leaders value unity over division. That is that is what it means to create a nation with harmony and peace. And that begins with each of us choosing peace within ourselves, within our homes, and within our communities. So let me close with these words. When anger rises, let love take its place. When voice when voices clash, let kindness show its face. When storms are raging and fear breaks down our will, God whispers softly, "Peace, be still." When lines divide us, may bridges be made. When hope feels distant, let courage invade. For blessed are those who chooses God's will, the peacemakers, the ones who bring peace. Peace, be still. And with this, I pray that we all become ambassadors of peace. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Cherise, for your perspective and your encouraging words. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce you to Samora Isaac. Samora Isaac is a conflict resolution and mediation specialist with over 8 years of experience in the field of alternative dispute resolution. She holds a Master of Science and a postgraduate diploma in mediation studies from the University of the West Indies, as well as a bachelor's degree in management studies with a minor in social policy. She has extensive experience as a probation officer, working directly with youth and adults in conflict with the law, facilitating behavioral change, supporting reintegration, and conducting court connected mediations. Ms. Isaac previously served as the project coordinator for USAID's Community Violence Intervention, an initiative aimed at reducing violence and strengthening social cohesion. Her core focus areas include conflict resolution, emotional intelligence, restorative practices, mediation, effective communication, and trauma-informed approaches. I present to you Samara Isaac.
Thank you, Kathy, for the intro, and thank you for inviting me to speak this evening. I am deeply honored to join you today for this important observance of the United Nations International Day of Peace under the theme Becoming Peacemakers. Peace is often spoken of as a destination, a faraway goal that the world struggles to reach. But peace is not only the absence of war or violence, it is the active presence of justice, fairness, respect for human dignity, equality, and equity. To become peacemakers, we must see peace as a way of life, something we nurture daily through our choices, our relationships, and our communities. Peace requires leaders and institutions to move beyond power struggles and toward governance rooted in justice and equity. A culture of peace cannot exist without inclusive governance. When citizens trust that their voices matter and their rights are protected, conflicts diminish and social stability grows. The acceptance and protection of differences are also key in fostering a peaceful climate. Policies must protect human rights, ensure equity, and amplify the voices of marginalized individuals. Authentic leadership is measured not by the amount of power held, but truly by the extent to which peace is built. Most faith traditions remind us that peace begins within, whether it is the biblical call to be at peace with all men or teachings that emphasize compassion, forgiveness, and unity. The message is clear. Inner transformation leads to outer harmony. In Christianity, peace is more than just the absence of conflict. Again, it is considered a fruit of the Spirit. We cannot expect to build bridges in the world if we are all still divided within ourselves. Christianity emphasizes reconciliation, both between humanity and God and among people. True peacemaking requires forgiveness, humility, and the courage to mend broken relationships. From a social perspective, becoming peacemakers means addressing the root causes of conflict, that is, poverty, inequality, exclusion, and injustice. Too often, young people are drawn into cycles of violence, not because they desire conflict, but because they feel they have no other options. Their upbringing, social environments, and resources have limited their options regarding conflict resolution. When provided with systems of support, mentorship, and empowerment for youth, we give them not only hope, but also tools to become ambassadors of peace in their own communities. Beyond politics, religion, or social structures, becoming a peacemaker is also a personal commitment. It is how we respond in moments of disagreement, how we treat those who are different from us, how we use our words to heal rather than to harm. Peace is built in the small, everyday acts of kindness and fairness. The great challenge and also opportunity before us is to understand that peace is not just the responsibility of governments and international organizations. Each of us hold a part of the puzzle. As peacemakers, we are called to speak courageously against injustice, to extend compassion to the marginalized, and to build bridges where walls exist. I implore that we intentionally look towards building a culture of peace within our country, St. Lucia. A culture of peace is about the daily choices we make as individuals, parents, leaders, families, and communities to uphold justice, respect, and dignity. It requires a combination of political will, social responsibility, spiritual grounding, and personal discipline. It also requires each of us to see peace not as someone else's job, but as a shared duty. Peace building should be reflected in every aspect of our lives, from the laws which govern us, where persons are encouraged to take responsibility and reconcile with those they have harmed, the policies enacted, the curriculum in schools where students should be intentionally taught positive approaches towards conflict, such as the use of restorative approaches, which can transform not only the individuals, but the entire community. It is time that we acknowledge that our schools must not only teach academic subjects, but also values such as empathy, cooperation, and mutual respect. If we teach our children early how to resolve differences peacefully, we are laying the groundwork for a future free of violence. Family should be the training ground for where we first learn cooperation, respect, and reconciliation. Peace begins with how we relate to one another, how we are taught to relate to one another, the language we use, the respect we show, the opportunities we create for dialogue within the family and outside. All of these shape whether peace is sustained. In communities, let us revive the culture of community service, where we come together to build homes, offer legal assistance, or support families in crisis. These practices build trust, solidarity, and ultimately peace. As we reflect on today's theme, let us not only talk about peace, but also live peacefully. Let us be examples of the peace we hope to see in the world. For when individuals, families, and communities embrace the role of peacemaker, the ripple effects extend far beyond what we can imagine. I thank you, and may we all continue to walk the path of peace together.
Thank you so much, Miss Isaac. Thank you for your musings on our personal responsibility in peace. Now, it is my pleasure to tell you a little bit about Ajani Labon. Ajani Labon is a development professional with expertise in youth leadership development spanning various levels. His leadership has contributed to the enhancement of youth education and social policy in St. Lucia and the Commonwealth region. Ajani is an active contributor to civil society and youth-led spaces, and most recently served as the program manager in St. Lucia for the USAID-funded Youth Resilience, Inclusion, and Empowerment Program. He was also a former national executive member of the St. Lucia National Youth Council and vice chairperson, advocacy and partnerships at the Commonwealth Students Association. Currently, Ajani provides institutional support to various local organizations, is a member of the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College's Board of Governors, and studies political science at the University of the West Indies. A warm welcome for Ajani.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and thanks, Steph, for the introduction. I'm really honored to be part of this panel this evening, knowing that we have many young people who I think are very passionate about the future of our country. And with a focus today on peace, meaning just based on the theme, becoming peacemakers. And I kind of want to dovetail or build on Samara's earlier points on reflecting on creating a culture of peace in our communities and by and large in St. Lucia. I think many of the panelists may agree that over the years, our society has become less focused on the collective good of the society, and we've become a lot more individually oriented, very individualistic. And I think many of our parents continue to say, you know, the society back then is not the society that we have today. So I think that's a point for reflection in that we need to question both individually and as a society how we become or how we gotten to the point where people are not thinking about their neighbor, you're not thinking about the person living two doors next to you, or you're not thinking about how your actions are affecting society as a whole. And today we have a society or we live in an environment which is plagued by youth crime and violence, or people don't feel safe walking down the streets late at night, or if you're carrying valuable possessions, you don't feel as secure because there's a threat in perhaps being robbed and losing your valuable possessions. So in saying this, it's a time for us really to reflect on what does it really mean to become a peacemaker in our current environment? What are our responsibilities as individuals and as a wider society to create the environment that is needed for people to just feel safe and feel secure? Because if you don't feel safe, then you're not encouraged to be part of community activities. You're not encouraged to be part of events. You're not encouraged to contribute towards the wider development of the community. So my thought, and I would love to hear, of course, as the other panelists share their perspectives, is that we must see firstly our individual responsibility to the society to create peace as the first step towards changing the culture in St. Lucia as relates to building peace. And an example of that, I believe, is that we continue to challenge our assumptions around what is a healthy society. Over the years, I think because it's become very difficult for people to get by, things are becoming a lot more expensive, jobs are not as available as they used to be or as in other regions, in other countries. And there's so many social issues affecting us that we think about what can we do within our own spaces to make it easier for the person next to us. An example of that could be, as a young person, becoming part of a community organization, a non-governmental organization like a Youth and Sports Council, a club, a sports club, or any cultural organization that can look to provide access to young people who do not have opportunities as easily as others. We have young people who may have gone to school and they may not have had the best academic opportunity. And because of that, it's difficult for them to get a job. And people look down on them. People are not as open to engaging them. How, through your engagement in a community group, could you make it easier? Could you create an inclusive environment in your community for these young people to become part of that society or that community network? When we look at the issue with youth crime and violence, my assumption is that many of the young people, young men mostly, who are engaged in youth crime are involved because they've not been given the attention that other young people have been given. For example, if you're from a home that is dysfunctional, you perhaps grew up in a home without a father, or you grew up in a home that there was a lot of violence, and you were not being given whether it be access to psychological support as another young person, or there was not a social worker present to help you through that difficult time in your childhood, then it's very easy that a young person would deviate or would be guided towards becoming involved in what we call an informal group, or in other words, a gang. And that is their home. How could we as young people in our own communities be involved in community action where we reach out to these young people, whether we provide training to them, invite them to volunteer in community events, and just be a big brother or big sister to them. And to me, that's a small example of what creating a culture of peace could be, that we encourage young people to not build barriers between themselves. There's a lot of classism in our society. You have youth who perhaps view themselves as more privileged or view themselves as separate from others. But if we break down those barriers, I think we can live in a society where everyone feels safe and open to engaging each other. And we're comfortable just being in the same space and realizing that all young people, despite where we come from, despite how many A's or ones we got in CXC, despite the family that we're from, despite the part of St. Lucia that we're from, that we still have to depend on each other for our society to become a healthy and successful one. So these are just my reflections moving forward as we think of becoming peacemakers. And I hope that moving forward, starting with the panel here, that we can all be part of that change to create a culture of peace in our society. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ajani. Thank you for reminding us of how our small actions in our community can positively affect us. Thank you again. Now it is my pleasure to introduce to you Nadej McLaurin. Nadej McLaurin, 24, is a proud daughter of the vibrant community of Cicero. A graduate of the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College, she is determined to further her studies in accounting and finance, with aspirations of becoming both a chartered accountant and a successful entrepreneur. Her passion for growth and service inspired her to create Empowering Our Women St. Lucia, a nonprofit organization dedicated to uplifting women, as well as launch Nat's Fit, her business offering sportswear, shapewear, and waist trainers that encourage women to feel strong and confident in their own skin. Nadej also leads as the president of the Cicero Youth Development Group, where she channels her leadership into building positive change within her community, with a strong focus on women, empowerment, and community development. She remains committed to inspiring and uplifting others in Cicero, across St. Lucia, and beyond. Nadej McLaurin.
Hi, good evening, and thanks for having me. Okay, let me just share my screen. Again, good evening, everyone. Like she said, my name is Nadej McLaurin, and once again, thanks for having me. It is truly a blessing to be here as we reflect on the theme becoming peacemakers. The Bible reminds us in Matthew chapter 5, verse 9, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." In St. Lucia, with the rise in crime and gang violence, I realized just how much we need to take this message seriously. The impact it has on communities. I've seen firsthand in my own community how crime and violence affect families. Too many of our young people are being drawn into gangs and negative lifestyles. They are searching for love, guidance, and belonging, but finding it in the wrong places. What becoming peacemakers means. For me, becoming peacemakers means stepping up and being that positive influence they need. We need more role models in our communities. Our young men and women need to see our young men and women need to see people who are living differently, who can mentor, encourage, and show them that there is hope and purpose outside of crime. The role of families. Families play such a powerful role too. Parents and guardians, if you notice your child showing signs of anger, aggression, or being pulled in the wrong direction, please don't be afraid to reach out for help. It doesn't mean you failed. It means you're being a peacemaker. It means you're being a peacemaker is more. Hold on. Huh? It doesn't mean you failed. Being a peacemaker is more than just avoiding conflict. It's about breaking cycles, choosing love where there is hate, guidance where there is confusion, and opportunity where there is hopelessness. The vision I have for St. Lucia, it would be if we come together, families, churches, communities, and leaders, we can make St. Lucia a nation of peace and harmony, a place where our young people see hope, not violence, unity, not division. Call to action. Let us not only talk about peace, but live it out. If each of us reaches out to even one young person, offer a word of encouragement, guidance, or simply listen, we will be planting seeds of peace. Together, those seeds can grow into a stronger, safer, and more united St. Lucia. Thanks for listening, and I do hope this presentation was very informative and has inspired each of us to take action towards becoming peacemakers.
Thank you so much, Nadej.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
so much for sharing with us from your personal experience. We really appreciate it. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Zidane Arthur. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's actually Alika Makiba Frederick. So Alika from Choiseul, St. Lucia, is a former Miss Universe St. Lucia and a student of the bachelor's degree program in primary education at the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. With 7 years' experience as a primary school teacher, she is passionate about meeting children's unique learning needs, a committed youth advocate. She has served as the public relations officer for the Choiseul Youth and Sports Council and as mobilizations officer on the St. Lucia National Youth Council. Most recently, she founded Tiny Tots Tutoring Services, offering personalized support for children ages 5 to 11 through education, pageantry, and youth advocacy. Alika is dedicated to inspiring and shaping future generations. A warm welcome for Alika Frederick.
Hi, everyone. Good evening, and thanks for having me. I'd like to come in with a little song. So let's reflect as I play this little tune for you. It's from Mishak, who is also from my community. It's called World Peace.
Who will listen to the voices crying out for peace, asking when will the war cease? Oh yeah, mothers crying for their babes, while others crying out for family. War casualties, it really hurt my heart to see. So tell me, when will humanity come to an agreement for the disarmament of armament for betterment? I feel the United Nations really ought to know that nuclear power isn't the answer, the only way to go. People will peace, will peace, will peace. People, please, 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 sing a reggae song for world peace. But cry, world peace, world peace, world peace. People, please, please, please. One love, one heart for world peace. And sing, shalom, shalom, salam, shalala la 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 la, shalala, shalala. Again, shalom, shalom, salam, shalala la 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 la, shalala, shalala.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to this song.
Thank you.
From Choiseul, a place where peace seemed woven into my daily life, I once believed I was protected from the worst of violence. Yet in a single moment, I lost my beloved cousin to a gun. In another, the violent chopping of yet another relative, so shocking, so unforgiving. Though many years have passed, those images, those cries, they haunt me still, as though they happened only yesterday. These wounds run deep, shaping not only my memories, but the person I have become. Violence is no distant rumor in St. Lucia. It is a sharp and painful reality. So far this year, and tragically too, the homicide total climbed to 64 by some mid-September. How many of those cases have led to arrests and formal charges? In earlier years, for example, in 2024, we saw 54 homicides in the first half of the year alone. These numbers are so much more than cold statistics. They are lives, families shattered, futures stolen. Hence, this begs the question, in the face of such darkness, how do we rise? How do we become agents of peace? For me, those tragedies ignited a purpose. I became a beauty queen, not simply for the crown, but for the voice it granted me. I began to walk into schools, into youth groups, into the hearts of communities where hope felt thin. I shared my memories, I listened, I sought to heal. Through advocacy, through presence, I have tried to make peace more than a word. Being a peacemaker takes many forms. It is spiritual. It is deeply religious to believe, as scripture teaches, if possible, so far as it depends on you, live peacefully with all. It is moral. It means choosing kindness in small moments, mercy in our judgments. It is social. It means building strong relationships, restoring trust among neighbors. It is political. It means demanding laws and policies that protect the vulnerable, support law enforcement, and root out injustice. So, what must we do? What can each of us starting today do to turn the tide? First and foremost, we must heal ourselves. Let each of us look inward. Are we cultivating grace, compassion, speaking peace instead of adding to the noise? Do we teach our children that violence is never the answer? Secondly, our families, community groups, and schools must be places where we respect empathy and patience. They're not just taught, but practiced. Mentors and elders must reach into neighborhoods hurting the most. Safe spaces must exist where young people feel heard rather than judged. Thirdly, those in leadership, educators, religious leaders, activists, policymakers must work together. We must design and support programs in conflict resolution, mental health, trauma, and counseling. We must improve policing, not just in numbers, but in trust. We must ensure justice. When a crime is committed, people must believe that wrongs will be righted. As an educator, I see each classroom as a training ground for peace. Every lesson is not only about spelling words or solving equations, but also about shaping character. I teach my students to listen to one another, to settle disagreements with kindness, and to value every voice in the room. By modeling respect and patience, I encourage them to see that peace begins in the smallest of places, within themselves, their friendships, and their daily choices. When children learn to practice empathy and cooperation in school, they carry those values into their homes and communities, helping to build the peaceful nation we all long to see. Lastly, across differences, whether race, religious, or politics, we must remember that we are bound together by our shared humanity. Values like honesty, solidarity, and mercy do not belong to any one group. They belong to all of us. We cannot permit division to weaken our resolve. I believe with all my heart that St. Lucia has the capacity to choose harmony over fear, to build peace not just in words, but in every street, every home, every mind, to become a nation where no child trembles at the sound of gunfire, where no parent loses a son or daughter to violence without justice, without solace. Let us close with a reminder that sometimes the simplest messages carry the greatest weight. At the end of this journey, I reflect on the words of a song that captures what we aspire to become. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It's true, we'll make a better day, just you and me. May those words guide us, not just today, but every day, as we walk the path of becoming true peacemakers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Frederick. Thank you for taking time, your precious time, and coming here to share with us. Thank you. Now, I would like to introduce to you Zidane Arthur. Zidane Arthur is currently working in operations and accounting. Part of his mission is to spread the gospel of Christ through what he calls God-influenced music. He believes that the entire God-influenced music brand and ministry is to edify and encourage the youth. Let them know that they don't have to be negatively influenced by what culture promotes, but that they can live their lives being influenced by God. He would like to achieve the complete fulfillment of his God-given destiny. Zidane Arthur.
Becoming peacemakers. Matthew chapter 5 verse 9 reads, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." This scripture here is actually Jesus directly speaking, where he highlights the qualities and character of someone who is truly marked and blessed by God the Father. So here, Jesus is not necessarily saying that we should not be peaceful people, but we should be people who strive for peace. Because a peaceful person may be described as someone who avoids issues, someone who's never involved in any level of drama, or someone who's just really good in remaining in the background and being able to slither past situations. In life, we're faced with conflict and issues daily. These are not things that we are able to avoid all the time. So here, Jesus is saying that we should be the ones who strives for peace. A peacemaker is someone who takes action, is someone who does the necessary things and takes the necessary steps to enforce peace within situations. People should be able to look to us as people of God and people who brings peace in situations. So here, Jesus is saying that not only should we be peaceful people, but we also are to be the ones who strives to create peace. Whether or not the situation might not directly involve us, but if we are present, it should be part of our goal to always bring peace. In this scripture, he also gives us a promise where he says that blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Not only will we be blessed by God the Father as his child, but we will also be recognized by people of this world as children of God, if we are the people who they look to as the peacemakers of this world. So ask yourself today, am I a peacemaker in my home? Am I a peacemaker at work? Or does someone who knows me consider me truly a peacemaker? Be reminded that a peacemaker is not just someone who avoids issues, but a peacemaker implies action, implies a doing. A peacemaker is someone who, when faced with conflict or situations that hinder peace or are simply around these types of situations, they are the ones who others look to deal with these situations successfully in love, compassion, patience, and wisdom. Remember, be a peacemaker.
Thank you to Zidane Arthur. He could not be with us today, but he made sure to share with us this video. A thank you again. Now it is my pleasure to introduce to you Karen Nisa Gittens. She is the Secretary of the Salvation Army Corps. She is actively involved in the Salvation Army Citadel Corps Women's and Youth Ministries and passionate about inspiring others, helping people reach their best, and supporting single mothers. Her dream is for a prosperous and peaceful St. Lucia, where everyone feels connected and hopeful. Above all, she is a proud mother of two amazing boys who motivate her every day. Karen Gittens.
Good evening, everyone. And thank you so much, Kathy, for the introduction. So I want to take this moment to express my gratitude to Universal Peace Federation for allowing me to share some thoughts and for a very interesting topic, becoming peacemakers. So as I reflect on becoming a peacemaker, whilst we were going through that, something happened at work where, reflecting on that, I found myself in a situation where I spoke out of anger and frustration, which was very disheartening because here I am getting ready to attend this seminar talking about being a peacemaker, and I was about to be advocating exactly the opposite of what I was about to say or write about. So the world we live in today, it's full of conflicts where family get divided, communities are torn apart, and nations are at war. Everybody talks about peace, but only a few people know how to live it. When Jesus said in Matthew chapter 5, verse 9, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall become children of God," Jesus did not call us peacekeepers, but peacemakers. That means something we must truly actively pursue and create. So peacemaking starts within all of us. If our heart is filled with bitterness, anger, or fear, we cannot bring peace to others. It's a saying like, an empty glass cannot pour without what's an empty glass can only pour what's inside it. But Jesus Christ filled us with peace that we can spread throughout the world. Whilst we may not have the power to end wars, but we can certainly end the rifts in our communities, workplaces, and the world if we stand against injustice and lend a helping hand to those in need. With a humble heart, we can truly, as children of God, let not dim our light. As children of God, let's not dim our light. Let our light shine in the darkness by planting a seed of hope, demonstrating our action through peace is indeed possible. So today I ask, like I would ask myself, what are you missing to become a peacemaker in this world? I thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gittens. We really appreciate that you made the effort and for your time. Now, I would like to introduce to you Davia Reynolds. Davia Reynolds is currently working at Windjammer Landings Resort and residences as a massage therapist at their spa. Her ultimate goal in life is to be happy and have as much experiences as she can by learning about different cultures and meeting different people. Her dream for St. Lucia is that we all can positively continue growing culturally and economically. Davia Reynolds. Sorry, you're muted.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Good night, everybody. Thank you for having me And also thank you, Kathy, for your lovely introduction. Um, first off, on the topic of becoming peacemakers, I wanted to give a little bit of my background, how I grew up. I grew up in a community which was very active in violence. Some would call it as a ghetto. But growing up in that area, it made me very self-aware of all the things that I've witnessed and all the things that I don't want to bring about into my life. And growing up, I started to shift my mindset into healing and what I can do to make others feel better in terms of spiritually, mentally, and also physically, which is what led me into the field of massage therapy. And as I ventured into that field, I found different ways of grounding myself and being more peaceful, as we should say. Um, Also, I found different ways of helping me calm my thoughts, be more um, aware of how I speak to others in the working field, and as well as my relationships with other people. And yeah, so I discovered how meditation, yoga, aromatherapy, it really impacts the mind, and how simple tasks such as being kind to others can give a positive influence in the working field, because I mainly do that at work. And yeah, just simple things like walking, taking a walk on the beach, reflecting on how your thoughts, your speech affects other people on a day-to-day basis. um I feel like if more people took the time to invest in themselves and their well-being, we would have a more positively filled community in St. Lucia, and we would be able to work more harmoniously with each other rather than against each other. Um, to be a peacemaker means more than simply avoiding conflict. It's about actively creating an environment where understanding, respect, and harmony can thrive. A peacemaker listens before reacting, seeks solutions instead of blame, and bridges differences rather than deepening divides. It's about choosing empathy over ego, dialogue over argument, and reconciliation over resentment. Um, in essence, being a peacemaker is the practice of building peace not just in our external relationships but also within ourselves. And in our communities, we have daily opportunities to be peacemakers. It could be as simple as how we speak to one another and how we resolve disagreements, or how we choose to show kindness in difficult situations. Um, that is it for me. Thank you very much for everybody for listening. And thank you, Kafi.
Thank you so much, Davia. Thank you for sharing with us from your personal experience. It's very valuable. I want to thank all of our presenters here tonight. I think each of you brought something unique to this forum, and I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and on behalf of the Universal Peace Federation, for speaking and sharing on becoming peacemakers as part of the UN International Day of Peace. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, everyone.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Thank you. See you again.
All
Yes,
right, good night.
come again.
Keep in touch.
Bye, good night.